I'm gonna drop a couple bombs on the FD channel right now.
Who you rolling with?
I am rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
Let's do it. Let's go.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
You know we rolling with FD, baby.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right. Peace out, my brother.
Woo!
I'm rolling with the F, the D. Learn something new every day when you're rolling with FD.
Yeah, we are rolling with FD, baby.
I roll with one person, and that's FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
You
I
gotta
love
love
it,
it, man.
This is a family event.
That's good. That's good, man.
Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Rolling with FD.
You don't have to ask. I'm rolling with FD.
My man. But see, Bless, who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
You gotta let me know who you rolling with.
We're rolling with FD. You heard it first.
I'm rolling with FD.
I am rolling with FD.
I'm not just a pretty face, Ziggy. JD, we should both do it.
No, I'm not doing that.
What questions do you have for me? Right, Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling with?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
You gotta let the people know who you rolling with, man.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? I'm excited tonight. This is gonna be real special. September 4th, 6:02 p.m. A lot of stuff is happening in the world of sports and in the hobby. We just got off the Burbank Card Show. It was a wonderful show. I hope you were able to attend. If not, I know there's a lot of content being put on YouTube and other places, TikTok, Instagram. You'll find a lot of stuff in different places. But I think we're going to drop a video tomorrow. So check it out. Tuesday. It will be posted tonight for tomorrow. But I want to invite our guests. We had a chance of getting together and talking a little bit at the National in Chicago, and I definitely wanted to have him on. We have Philly Cars 25 here.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah,
Best intro on a podcast I've seen yet. I'm impressed.
thank you. We originally talked about how to include a lot of different people into that because and then we wanted to do it. So no,
Yeah, you already know who I'm rolling with.
well, we're gonna get you in there, bro. For everybody. So I always start with origin stories, how people got involved in a hobby. Tell everyone your background, how you got involved in a hobby, and a little more about yourself.
Sorry, I might have cut out for a second there. Can you repeat that one time?
Oh yeah, I always start with origin stories. Let everybody know a little bit more about yourself, your background, how you got started in a hobby.
Okay, perfect. Comes from my parents and my grandparents. As old as about like 5 years old, I remember my grandparents taking me to the card shop and me just not knowing any players really, but just looking at any shiny card I could get and getting my hands on that. And I remember my grandpa grabbing like a Pat Burrell card and it looked like he was wearing lipstick on the card at the time. And I was making fun of him about that. So that was one of like my earliest memories in cards. But my favorite always was opening packs. And that started from my grandparents taking me and my dad taking me to the card shop when I was very young, and just like pulling like a jersey card or any shiny card or anything like that was like the biggest deal ever to me. It wasn't really much about the value as it was if like Derek Jeter was my favorite player at the time, like one shiny card of him was the big deal for me. So it started off from my grandparents and my dad and my mom taking me to the card shop, and I thank them all the time for bringing me into this awesome hobby.
All right. You played sports growing up?
Yes, sir. Just about everything, except for football, honestly. But now, obviously, I'm 24, unless I'm a professional athlete. Not a lot of sports going on, so I do boxing and MMA now.
Oh, MMA. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You practice certain martial art?
Yeah, I do. So I started in boxing like 4 years back, and now I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing. Yeah. So it keeps me sane. I love it.
Man, I went to I had a friend, fraternity brother, college roommate that lived in LA when I first got back here, and I would go to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with him. And I remember one of the first classes I went to, they had me doing hip escapes for 45 minutes. I think we just lost him. He'll be back. But I'm just telling a story about how I was doing hip escapes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class for 40 to 45 minutes. And if you don't know what that is, you're laying on the ground with your back to the ground. I mean, yeah, you're laying face up. That's a better way of putting it. And if someone was on top of you, how do you get away from them and give yourself some space? You kind of get skinny on one side and you push off with your legs to give yourself some space away from. That technique is called a hip escape. And it's the first time I learned after playing football, you think that you got to come in contact with someone, or you have to lift weights. So you got to do something to work out. But the use of gravity on the human body is a workout. And to go from wall to wall to wall to wall with like 2 breaks in between for like 40 something minutes is crazy. You good?
I just
You
got
back?
kicked out. Yeah.
No, you good. All right.
Sorry about that. That was annoying.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just explaining to people about hip escapes and what they are. And it was the first time I think I got an understanding that after playing sports, you don't have to come in contact with someone or run or jump really to exercise. The use of gravity in your body and really focusing in on your legs as a major muscle group in your body can just wear you out.
I mean, yeah, I've learned it the hard way. I never really wrestled growing up, and when somebody's like pushing against you, it's no fun at all. And your stamina, if you think that you have stamina, do jiu-jitsu or roll around for about 5 minutes and you'll see.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I've learned many different things over time about exercising. That what I thought I knew at one point in life is not really what you need to do that can be really endurance driven. So tell me about cars. What kind of cars do you buy, sell, trade? What kind of cars do you like, and who are some of your favorite athletes?
Okay. So for me, my favorite sports to collect are basketball, football. I mix in baseball, and then I love collecting UFC cards and boxing as well, which is kind of like a niche in the hobby. But in terms of basketball, I mean, I love the Sixers, but I try to stay away from a lot of the home teams. But my favorite player right now to watch is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I've been collecting him for a few years now. Anytime I get a chance to pick up like a nice rookie auto, or I've been picking up a lot of the 2020 flawless patches. I think I'm up to like 16 or 17 of that year. So once I find like one card, I want to buy a ton of them. And then in terms of football, I love collecting Jalen Hurts. The only thing is, living in this area, it doesn't really, I can't really hold on to it too long, because I feel like everybody wants a piece of the pie, especially when there's a new guy in Philly. But yeah, in terms of player collections, it's really Giannis. I like collecting Julius Erving a lot. That's kind of a newer PC. And then in terms of boxing, I've started a PC of Jack Johnson, and that's one of the collections I've been pursuing a lot recently as well.
Oh, I remember that, because we were at the Burbank show and saw 3 Jack Johnson cards, and I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, you really don't see a lot of the boxing stuff out there at all. So
great history there.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you, you said something about Giannis. So you rolling with Giannis over your boy Embiid?
I mean, I love Embiid. I love watching him, but every time Joel Embiid steps on the court, I think that a big injury is going to happen, because the way that he falls down like multiple times a game. And yeah, there's a kind of like an ongoing theory in the hobby that big men don't really sell as well. So I kind of look at Giannis as for longevity. I think he's got a lot more years left in the tank. He's already got a championship. He's already got his MVP, as does Embiid. But especially from an unbiased perspective. I think that Giannis is a better move for me moving forward, as in terms of investment and collection, because it's so easy to stick to the hometown guys, and I've been burned by those before, just having a huge fandom of those guys. So just move off of that and be unbiased with somebody else.
True. I understand what you're saying. So Giannis. So is he gonna, he dropped a statement really to me out of nowhere. It's almost like he's setting the stage for something. He dropped a statement about a week ago saying, basically, I'm gonna paraphrase for him. If I don't have my supporting cast right, I'm not gonna resign. I'm hesitant of resigning. I think that's more accurate. I'm hesitant of resigning. What's up with that? Why is he saying that right now? This is August. Oh, excuse me. That was August when he made the statement. This is September now. The season hasn't even started. What's up?
I mean, I was definitely out of left field, but superstar, and I feel like you can only go so far in that Milwaukee market, where if he's in like a market like LA, if LeBron ends up leaving, or even Dallas with like Mark Cuban behind him and a better supporting cast, where I feel like Chris Middleton's a solid number 2, but you could find a much better number 2 somewhere else. And I don't know, it would definitely be weird if you just went to like a super team, but I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to Giannis moving somewhere else and hopefully getting some more rings. We've seen a bunch of superstars do that, and he's technically in his prime or just entering the prime of his career. We still haven't seen him with a jump shot necessarily. His 3-point shot's a little suspect still. So I don't know. We saw the same thing with LeBron. We saw the same thing with KD. And maybe we'll see the same thing with Giannis.
It'd be interesting to see where he goes, because wherever he goes, they should be in the conference finals or the finals. That should be, and really see him play with I would love to see him play with a good to great guard. I mean, no disrespect to Drew Holiday, but we haven't seen that.
Yeah, I think Drew's definitely underrated, but you can get much better. I hope he doesn't go to Golden State. I hope that's not what you're hinting at. But
well, you never know. There's a great guard. You never know.
You guys have been spoiled for too long. Tell him to come to Philly. That will never happen. But
I don't know if it's being spoiled though. I mean, these guys have, he's got to put that work in. I don't know if it's being spoiled, but it would be a nice ending to something.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not stopping that. But you look at the numbers. How does Golden State afford something like that? Who has to leave? Those are the things. They have kept some pieces to make it marketable to go get a big name person. I have noticed that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to Giannis going to Dallas and seeing him team up with Luka and potentially Kyrie. I think that could be a sick team to watch, but I would just like to see how that would unfold if like Luka would take the back seat or Giannis would, but that would be interesting for sure.
I will hope that if Giannis is going somewhere, you're feeding the big man. You're letting him eat. He's the ball is rolling through him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not going somewhere I would think not to, and I would hope any guard that's playing with him. I mean, that's what I'm on. But we'll see. It'd be interesting.
I agree.
Giannis says he's dropping this for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, where we're sitting, we can see that Chris Middleton's injury last year was detrimental to them. A lot of pressure was put on Holiday. You saw what Butler did with Holiday. It just can't happen like that. If he wants success there, it has to be. He needs some more players around him. I think he's hinting at that, but I don't know what Milwaukee can do. So it'll be interesting.
And I think they were poised to make a deep run last year if Giannis wasn't injured during that Miami series. I mean, while he was playing in that series, they didn't.
Yeah, number 1 seed.
Yeah. Yeah, disappointing. Even when he was playing, obviously he wasn't fully healthy, but I think things would have shaken out differently if he was fully healthy.
The way he hit the ground, I'm surprised he even came back and played at all. So, what is your Grail card? What card do you have? Do you like? You know what? It could be monetarily based, or it could be your passion for the card. What do you consider your Grail card?
So my Grail card without money attached is my 2005 Upper Deck Reflections. It's a Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken Jr. dual jersey card, and it was like the first quote unquote big card I bought, and I was probably like 11 or 12. I paid $32 for it. It was all the money I had on me, and that's one card that I'll never get rid of. Two of my favorite shortstops, two of my favorite baseball players, probably top 5 ever for me. And then in terms of monetary value, 2003 SB Authentic LeBron James rookie auto out of 500. That card for me, just growing up, is like super iconic. And I mean, from my days of collecting, starting in like 2007, 2008, all those years, I just never thought I'd own something like that. So just being able to have that card in my collection, and I could have sold it for a ton of money at one point at the peak of the pandemic, but there was just something that was like urging me to not get rid of it. And for money purposes, I should have gotten rid of it, but it's something that I don't know. I don't see myself planning on moving anytime soon. I love that card. It's an iconic photo, and LeBron's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time.
Well, let's talk about that because hey, love those two that you brought up. Those are great cards.
Thank you.
I'm watching Rich Paul, who is LeBron's agent, who's also yeah. It is comedy. Yeah. Before we jump into it, it's straight comedy. So LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, gets on the Gilbert Arenas podcast and starts talking about how LeBron's the GOAT. So, and also he added in some little spice on how Michael Jordan really wasn't, how would I say it, challenged or given feedback on by anyone but one analyst at the time who worked for NBC Sports. And then he also stated that who was Michael Jordan compared to? LeBron was compared to Mike from day one. Mm-hmm. We'll jump in and we're gonna slice and dice all that up. But what are your thoughts on who's the GOAT and why?
I'm an older school. I'm an old school person, I feel like, and I get in heated arguments with my friends all the time about this. And I'll go on record and say Michael Jordan is my GOAT. I always get pressed on that I've never seen Michael Jordan play live and all this stuff and LeBron's statistics and everything. But to me, the biggest game is the finals. And when you're perfect in the finals and the biggest basketball player, in my opinion, of all time, your sneakers are still being worn by kids today. And
to this day, as they say, to this day. Go ahead.
Yes. As the Bronze Bomber said, Deontay Wilder. I don't know. Everything about Michael Jordan, just in my opinion, says the GOAT. I think his mentality, I feel like he's got like Kobe's mentality mixed with LeBron's championship runs. And I don't know. You could say the competition wasn't there, but it's hard to dispute something when we've never seen it the other way.
Well, you know, I was lucky enough to, privileged enough to grow up in a time. Well, when I was 8 or 9 years old, Michael Jordan was a rookie, and I watched his whole career, and how he had challenges getting to a certain level in the playoffs. Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant show up. They're both undersized, young. They develop, and then Mike starts making a run at some things. He's challenged by several teams in the East, not just the Detroit Pistons. He ends up overcoming that and overcoming Detroit and then moving on and doing the thing. And that was the time when people said Michael Jordan's just a scorer. He can't make his other players better. That was the time when people say he's not a good defender. Then he was Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in the same season. You know, I just think that as you're a person that tries to do certain things and gain success for the cards, it's no different for us in our lives or anybody else is out here. You always gonna have some people that's saying some stuff, you know.
Of course.
But the rubber meets the road when you build a resume of success and you do certain things that have never been done before. But I expected nothing else. Rich Paul, I don't expect for him to get on the show and say, "Well, Mike is the GOAT," and LeBron James has really placed him. His affiliation with LeBron has placed him where he is. So I thought it was straight comedy to me. To me, it was almost like stand up. It was almost like somebody got on stage with a microphone and started talking about the GOATness of the NBA. And so, Rich Paul, salute to you, bro. But I mean, nobody's buying that. And for him to say that who was Michael Jordan compared to, as if there was no history of basketball before Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I saw your post before I hopped on the podcast, and one of my PC guys, of course, Dr. J, another pioneer of basketball. How can you not bring him up in the conversation? I don't know. I feel like the GOAT argument is tough though, because these guys are cemented in history and all brought their own unique version of basketball to us. And it sucks that we have to debate this and how polarizing this is, but yeah, I'm gonna take the 6-for-6 championships any day of the week. Yeah, I think a much better defender as well.
So the Sport News put this up years ago.
What's that? The next Dr. J.
The next Dr. J. This is Mike, second, third year. I'm just gonna go out there on a limb and on a tall tree with a short limb and say Rich Paul never saw this cover. Doesn't know anything about it.
See, I can understand where he's coming from, because with the presence of like social media and how instantly like news gets passed on to people nowadays, like it's impossible for every single LeBron's move not to be in the spotlight, where he's crucified, it seems like 24/7, and he's being talked about all the time. But I feel like even if social media was around for Michael Jordan, I don't think he'd be as much of like a talking point or want to be out there as much, because he seemed like kind of more of a private guy. And who knows, with cameras around or Twitter, we don't know. But I don't know. He doesn't seem like as outspoken, I would say, as LeBron.
Yeah, he is more of a private guy. It's interesting though. I wonder is when LeBron retires, how much longer will this conversation take place? I wonder that as well. I mean, it's good for ratings, maybe TV, maybe viewership while you're still playing. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Philly, were you impressed when LeBron broke Kareem's record? Did that excite you?
I mean, that's 100% impressive, but
were you excited? Were you charged up? Were you like, no?
Nah, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, in my opinion, where Peyton Manning has all the regular season stats and all that stuff that, in my opinion, I'll take the playoff record from Tom Brady and all those records compared to regular season. But I mean, that's super impressive that he did that, but I don't know.
Hey,
how about you? Were you excited for that?
Not really. I mean, and there's no hate on LeBron. It's just, I look at LeBron James. It's remarkable that he's played at the level he's played at for as long as he's played there.
Mm-hmm.
It's remarkable. It's a great achievement. But I wasn't excited or charged up. I mean, after a while, you could kind of see this thing coming. If this dude doesn't get hurt, he's averaging 25, 26, 27 points a game. He's going to get there.
Yeah.
What is the number going to be by the time he retires? Is going to be crazy.
For real.
I don't know, but I just don't. I think even on the flip side, like we talked about social media, it's more of an instant thing going on now. Anthony Edwards is the face of the NBA. Hasn't done anything. But
you think?
No, he hasn't done anything.
No, I don't think so at all either.
No, I don't think he's the face of the NBA. But there's an instant vibe to what goes on now. So people start talking about things before they even happen. John Moran is this. Zion is this. Zion doesn't even have a jump shot. But this is what we do now. So now the flip side is, nobody's really probably going to be excited about a 20, 25-year record that you got to play to get to. people aren't going to be really excited about that. So I appreciate LeBron and the scope of the history of the NBA and what he's doing. What I really appreciate about LeBron, to me, that's not talked about enough, and I hope that it stays like this, is that you don't hear anything about this guy outside of basketball. There's nothing off the court that's detracting from who he is as a person, brand, entity, whatever it may be, family man, husband. There's nothing there. And I think for a person to come into the league at the level that he came in at 18, it's more should be talked about LeBron off the court than what his achievements are on the court, because he's achieved a lot off the court with businesses, his family life, how he carries himself. There's no clip of LeBron anywhere doing anything that I have seen that is like, what is that guy doing right now? There are guys in the league for 1 or 2 years, and you see a plethora of stuff that's like, what is he thinking? What is she thinking right now?
Yeah.
LeBron.
I mean, if I had the keys to a kingdom at 18 years old, I'd much more likely turn up to be Johnny Manziel than I would LeBron James.
And LeBron was revving the engine at 14, 15. People started knowing.
Can't imagine.
I was in Chicago when he was in high school, and I knew who LeBron James was before he was on the Sports Illustrated cover. Like, you just hearing about this guy. And I remember when NBA players were showing up to his games in high school, and the way his body development and his stature on the court was just different. So those are the things I look at for LeBron that I probably don't even talk about enough. I need to talk about more, because those are the things that impress me about him.
I was about 4 years old when LeBron was like huge in high school. Did you feel the same hype for Zion Williamson coming up that was around LeBron?
To me, LeBron was the originator of all this, and he carried it in a certain way. And when I saw him play, it backed up the hype that I already heard about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say this. There's certain things I look for in a basketball player. LeBron had a jump shot in high school.
Mm-hmm.
When he released it, it was kind of different sometimes. He worked on that, so it looks the same way when he releases it, which a lot of guys go through. Lonzo Ball went through that. A lot of guys come out and their jump shots not where they want it to be, and they work on it. I get that. Zion, certain things about his game I've never seen. So for me, maybe my eyes were a little more experienced in what I'm looking at. But when I look at that guy, I see a jumper and a bounder. I see a guy who's working to score and not using his basketball skills to score. So when I saw Zion at Duke, I know where the hype is coming from. When do you see a 270-pound man rotate in the air and throw it down with thunder like the way he does? I get that. But I always think long-term as well. Where's this guy going to be in 6 or 7 years? And then when he blew out his shoe at Duke, and you can notice he's had lower extremity issues ever since he's been in the league. I never thought Zion was going to be what people talked about. I still want to see it, though. I would love to see him come out this year with somewhat of a, just like Giannis we talked about earlier, maybe a raw jump shot. Maybe something that looks a little, that could be worked on, but at least he's trying it. Instead of taking the ball to the cup all the time on the physical nature and jumping and bounding and dunking. And that's the ESPN. It looks cool. But
are you talking about Zion Williamson or Ben Simmons?
I'm talking about both of them. And Ben Simmons now, for our Philly people, won't even attempt a shot.
That was the most frustrating thing I've ever seen. One of the most skilled basketball players I've ever seen besides shooting a basketball. Can play defense, can run the floor, can pass, can rebound, can do everything except for shoot the basketball.
Yeah, he can definitely play defense. To be his height and size, his defense is very good. Just offensively, there's something there. There's a block. Maybe he has anxiety about doing certain things. I don't know, but
it's got to be some kind of mental gap at this point. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be. Let's go through some of these comments. Collector Dream. Hello, everyone. What's up, Collector's Dream? Richard, we talked about Giannis. Car Vibe, when we're rolling. Thanks for being here. I can see Mark Cuban trying to get him in terms of Giannis. Not sure about the fit with Luka ball hogging. Something tells me inside that Luka's going to get better at that. I think he's going to get better at that. I'm going to give him the benefit. I think he's going to get better at that. Sometimes you can hold a ball when you're tired or you feel a certain way on the court. I think with him showing that he's gotten in better shape, we might see more rotation from him and less of that. Good evening, Orlando and everyone. Hey, Carvibe. Everybody talking to each other. Demetrius. And we're rolling. Good to see Philly Cards. Philly Cards is in the house. Brendan. It does seem like some lackluster marketing lately for players. Hype void. Hey, FD, what's up? Steve Larson comes in and says, Wiseman sucks, just out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere. So this must be a Luka fan. Or Steve, let me know more about yourself. Because I love it when people kick in the door. I always say, man, when you come to somebody's house, you gotta knock on the door first. Let me know more about you. Who's your player?
Who's my player?
Yeah, who do you really like?
What sport? Are we talking about basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Ben Simmons was my guy. Like, I held on to him way too long, and just from like a fan perspective, and he was like my favorite player on the court, and that broke my heart. And then football, you gotta love Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's put the whole city on his shoulders, coming out as a second-round pick behind Carson Wentz when that was talked about as a stupid pick at the time because Carson Wentz was supposed to be the franchise quarterback. And I feel like Jalen Hurts has kind of been like an underdog and fought for his job every single place he's gone, and he just keeps proving everybody wrong. So I love Jalen Hurts.
I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I like him a lot. It's going to be interesting to see. You know, he turned down an opportunity to be in the Netflix show on quarterbacks.
Yes, I'm very happy about that.
He turned that down.
But I cannot watch that show because apparently they show the Chiefs prepping for the Eagles Super Bowl and then film from that game. And after that Super Bowl, I've wanted nothing to do with that game at all. I don't even want to watch it. That thing makes me sad.
It's something that I haven't watched either because I think I heard about the focus on the Chiefs. And Mahomes is cool. Their tight end is cool, but I don't know how much I could just kick back and watch some Chiefs stuff. So maybe at some point I may watch some of it, but I haven't watched as much yet as probably some other people have.
And Kirk Cousins is a big focal point, say with Mariota, and those aren't two guys that really intrigue me as much to watch that show. So I don't know. Mahomes is sweet, but I don't know. I don't need to watch 5 hours of Mahomes.
I agree. So do you send cards in for grading? And if you do, what companies do you send them to?
Yes, sir. I like PSA bulk service. I think that you get the best value in return. It's like $15 or $16 a card. Maybe it's up to like $20 now, but the return that you get on like a PSA 10 is much better value than getting a 9.5 or an SGC 9.5 or 10. So that's the easiest way, I think, to make money. I think will necessarily, and you can send those into Beckett and hope for their 9.5, which I think is a bit of an easier grade depending on what the card looks like. And then I've only subbed to SGC one time. I'm not really like opposed to it, but for monetary reasons, it doesn't really make as much sense for me. And that's one thing I've kind of started like the past 2 years or so. I used to just stay away from like SGC slabs, but now I'll buy them and have no issues with that going forward.
Why do you think people think Paolo Banchero is boring?
I don't think he's boring. I like him a lot. And my friend corrected me the other day. He said it's actually Banchero. So I never heard that before, but
okay. Oh.
So yeah, he kept giving me shit about that. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
He corrected you, huh? Okay.
Yes, sir. But he was giving me these examples.
What did your friend say during each sporting event? What the player's name is said? Like, man, that's wrong. Go ahead. Well, I asked the question because a lot of people in the hobby have said to me that they think that he's a boring player. He's fundamentally sound, but he won't do anything that gives you the ooh and ah. I like his game.
I don't know. For a 22-year-old, I feel like he's got a huge bag and a skill set already. And my buddy that I do the podcast, we just started a podcast, but my buddy I do the podcast with, he's 6'10". He's like 240 pounds. They're just figuring out if he can play defense as like a stretch 5 and seeing if he can use that big frame to cover some of these big guys. And it kind of makes him like a unicorn at that, because there's how many other guys are 6'10", 240 and can do a step back 3 or literally do any single thing on the court. There's Giannis, there's Ben Simmons, there's not many other people besides that. So I think at 22 years old, he's a good guy to buy moving forward.
I totally agree. I like his game a lot. I also like the fact that you don't hear anything about this guy but basketball.
No.
And, he's an all-around athlete. Yeah. He's not boring to me. I actually tune in to Orlando because I haven't watched too much Orlando since Shaq, Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway. I haven't watched too much Orlando. He makes me tune in.
I think that not having nationally televised games definitely hurts him a bunch. But I mean, he gives you a reason to want to watch that team. I mean, they have like a good young core, so I don't know. I think they're exciting.
Franz Wagner is also a cool player to watch and see his development. What's going on with him?
Yeah, shout out to C-Blaz on that one.
Yeah, C-Blaz is all over that.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you more about your podcast. Talk to me about it. What's the name of it? Who's your co-host? What do y'all get into?
Yeah, so my podcast we just started. I used to do bro cards with my brother, but he has since got a job working for Barstool about like a year ago. So we had to stop doing that. And my other buddy, Danny Dimes. But now we changed the name to Step Bro Cards, one of the funniest movies out there. And one of my co-hosts is my boy Koch at Koch's Cards. And then my other buddy doesn't have an Instagram, but is pretty big at making basketball content on YouTube. His YouTube's Brock Knows Ball. And he's a broadcasting major, did Temple basketball's play-by-play. So we all bring like kind of like a different element to the podcast. Me and Koch are your kind of average like card flippers, collectors. And then my buddy Brock brings in the analytics when it comes to sports and schooling us on stuff like saying Banchero's name right or bringing up any statistic or anything like that. So he presents us with awesome topics, and then we talk about what's going on at card shows, who's hot, who's not the right person to buy, because he's still in the beginning phase of collecting. So we want to bring kind of like the day one collector into catching up with some guys that have been doing it for a bunch of years now. So it's an awesome dynamic, and we're only 3 episodes in, but I love doing it already.
I can't wait. I would love to come on this show.
I'd love to have you on.
Spend some time with you all. That'd be great.
You'd have fun on the podcast.
Oh yeah, with you all, yes. Sure. Let me ask you another question here. Flipping cards. Walk everyone through kind of your experience flipping. What do you do? How do you make certain decisions? How do you kind of know who to buy and sell when? Just walk people through what you do.
Okay. There's not really like a certain method to anything, I would say. I think the easiest thing is to get ahead of what you think people are going to be buying at a certain time frame. Like usually around winter time, I like to stock up on my football, the quarterbacks, and maybe some guys that are out of the playoff hunt, or maybe it's their second year in the league and they're getting overlooked right now because people are moving on to basketball, or teams that are already in the playoffs. And I think that's when you see the biggest, the cheapest buy-in, I would say, for football quarterbacks is kind of later down the line in the season and they don't have a chance of making the playoffs. So I like to buy my rookie or second year quarterbacks pretty early on, and you'll usually have a window in the springtime and probably another one around the national time. So I feel like that's kind of like an easy way to look and flip specifically quarterbacks and guys that you think people are going to want or have FOMO for heading into the season. And then in terms of flipping, I think the biggest thing is like not be greedy. I think that we saw over the pandemic and over like the huge spikes in cards that everyone thought their card was going to hit this crazy number where it's like if you bought the card for $50 and you have a chance to sell it the next day for $75, take the money and move on to the next thing. That doesn't happen in a lot of industries, and sure, maybe it could get to that $100 mark, but is it really worth it to wait an extra week or two? Instead, you could have been making like your next flip already. And I think the easiest way to flip is buying at card shows. Buying on eBay, especially if you have like the sales tax attached, it doesn't make it easy because you need to sell it for what, like 100 and whatever percent of the original price you bought it for just to make a few dollars. It just doesn't really make as much sense. So if you can go into a card show, and I'm not a person that just goes up to tables and buys at 75% of eBay. If I believe in the card, I pay 90, 100%, 85. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you believe in the card and there hasn't been like a sale in a while on like a rare piece and maybe the player's hot, I think that it's worth taking a shot on it. But I don't know. It's a lot of feel for me because I'm still a collector at the end of the day. So I like holding a card longer term and maybe not moving it until I have like a sufficient reason to. If somebody really wants to poach it from me, like this is my price. If not, it's going to stay in the collection and I have no problem doing that. So once you get to the point that you're okay with holding the card longer term and you don't care if it sells or not, I feel like you're much more free in the way that you can go about this.
I agree. I used to work in sales for quite a while. And I used to joke. I'll use the term. You can force a sale, or you can come across as thirsty or hungry for a sale, or you can come across as I'm trying to create a opportunity for someone. And those things are the human nature of people. Those things are taken two different ways. I'm the kind of person that if you're pushing me to buy something, I'm kind of put off by that.
100%.
But if you're offering me an opportunity, and it could be you buy or not, that was kind of my sales strategy. Person could buy or not, we're still good. I think the only time I really challenge people is when you got some people out there that become time wasters, where they'll set an appointment with you to buy something and then never show up for the appointment. Then then we gotta have another conversation about time. But I never wanted to force people or make people feel a certain way about trying to buy something. And I see people that flip cards just from where I stand afar. I can look and see this person is very good at creating an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some people that are forcing something, putting a square peg in a round hole. They're just forcing it. So it's good to get your perspective on that because it kind of lines up with some things that I've thought about before, but I've never flipped cards. So I don't, just because you sold one thing doesn't mean that you know everything about sales, but you are familiar with sales techniques that work on people. So
yeah, and I think that you see story sales from people and you see the same cards posted every single day and they continue not to sell and they continue to still go about their old ways of pricing those cards at the same price. And then you see people that do a story sale once every few weeks and sell out the whole thing.
Everything worked out. No time.
Yeah.
There's certain people we know, if you don't jump on that story sale, you're not going to see that card again.
No.
Not by that person.
No.
Not no time soon. And there are some people that only sell rare stuff. So, yeah. What other questions do I have for you? USA basketball just lost to Lithuania. Some people are saying Steve Kerr is suspect for this. What do you think? Because it's interesting to me before you even answer. that the USA team is running a similar kind of size center, power forward, guard lineup as Golden State would.
Mm-hmm.
You only got two big men on that team, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Kessler. Right?
And they're power forwards.
Yeah. But go ahead. Maybe Curry
Kessler might be a center, but I think it's expected, honestly, with a young team and these guys are just learning to play with each other, where some egos might be attached at these guys wanting the ball more, and they're used to being the superstar on their team or one of the leading scorers, and now they're in a role where they might score 7 points a game or something like that. So I don't know. I remember the 2004 Olympic team when Allen Iverson and that great team lost. It wasn't an 2008 team, or what was that? 2012, the Redeem team.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 2012.
Yeah, I mean this is nothing compared to any of those teams, and it's a lot of young talent. So in my opinion, is expected. Like a lot of people say, the whole world's going to keep catching up to us in basketball. We're not going to be the top. I mean, I still think we're the prominent country in the world in basketball, and we probably will be for, I'd like to say, another 10 years, but you never know which other country's going to sneak up and come, and you might lose games to Lithuania. So I don't know. I think it's more expected than people think, and it sucks to lose. I don't think anybody likes losing, but I don't know. I don't think there's like a true leader on that team. I don't think there's like a big veteran that's been around and played in these international games for a while. So it's like, who's going to step up? Who's going to be the captain? I just don't see it from anybody on this team right now.
I totally agree with you. Completely agree with you. It'd be interesting to see what they do the rest of FIBA. What happens with the USA team, but I didn't expect for them to go undefeated.
No.
So, and you do have, like what you said about players who have scored points on their team, then they're scoring 5-7 points. Brandon Ingram came out and said he wasn't happy with how he was being kind of used on that team, what his involvement is.
I feel like Team USA is like joining like kind of like the military, where like you don't get to decide what you do anymore. Like this is your role, and if you don't like it, like go home or something, because you're never gonna get exactly what you want. Like when LeBron, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo, all those guys were on the same team, some of those guys had to take a back seat and realize like I'm not the top guy anymore, and I also don't have a say in what's gonna happen, especially the way like Coach K ran the team in kind of like that military format. So if you're not like playing in your role and playing to your ability, then I don't know. It's their way or the highway, I think.
Well, we do know that Steve Kerr is cut from that same cloth. I mean, if you're not setting the screen, I'm talking about big men. If you're not setting the screen or getting your pick and roll on right, what are you out there for? The ball's not flowing through you, young man. It's not happening. So it looks like they're running the same kind of program, because I looked at, Anthony Edwards had 35, but I think there were two other people in double digits. The rest of the team was, 5, 7, 8 points, this, that, and the other. Oh, let me ask you this question. This is a hot one. Straight out of the kitchen. What's up with Austin Reeves? What do you think of?
I mean, when I saw his contract, I think that I wasn't alone in thinking that like, that's a wild amount of money to pay that guy after that one playoff run, one season, whatever you call it. But I mean, the way he's been playing, I still can't believe from what I've been seeing from him now that no other team matched that contract, especially a team with like loads of money, like maybe like a Houston Rockets or somebody like that. But I mean, he's been impressive lately. I never.
But Philip Carrs, I think you can understand why no other team in the league threw some money at this guy.
No, it made total sense to me at the time. I was surprised that the Lakers gave him that much money, but now you're looking back, and how many teams would have matched that offer if they saw the product that he's putting out right now?
Well, that's why, to me, I look at
And I'm not like an Austin Reeves fan. Like I don't care one way or the other. I'm a Sixers fan, and besides Giannis, I could care less about any other player, to be honest.
Understood. To me, like when we get to these international tournaments, it's a great marketing program. Right? It allows players to showcase themselves. It allows players to build hype amongst fan bases. Those who love basketball, those who love their team. A player from that team may be on this team. It allows people to get a hype before the season. We're sitting here September 4th. Season starts in month and a half. You know, we got some preseason games coming up. That's the only thing I see from these tournaments. It's a marketing program. People get really hyped about what somebody's doing. But I asked someone the other day, and they gave me a blank stare like they had never thought of this. I said, so people are hyped on Anthony Edwards, Reeves, and cars are going up. You're like, yeah, man, yeah. It's like, well, why is it that people that were on the Dream Team, people don't even buy their cars? Nobody even talks about it.
No.
And they gave me a blank look. Like they never thought of that.
I mean, it makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense, like their thinking process at the same time. I think that we all have like the biggest recency bias of all time. And there's a reason why backup quarterbacks like Sam Howell continually outsell cards of Joe Montana. And it literally makes no sense. Like, would I rather have an on-card autograph or 10 Joe Montana on-card autographs for one Sam Howell card? It's a no-brainer to me. But in the terms of like seeing fluctuations or maybe like I don't know. Yeah, in terms of fluctuations, you want like that newer card because that's got the bigger chance of going up really fast or going down really fast. And the only way you really see fluctuations in those Hall of Famers is sadly when they pass away. Like we see from like Bill Russell or Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Like all like that's really like when you see a retired player go up in value, it's usually because of a death, which is another weird part of the hobby, but that's just the sad truth.
Very true. It's always interesting to me. You can have Wanda Franco. People are like, oh man, that's a shame. There are people whose cars went from X amount to almost zero. And what was recent here? Someone I forgot. Someone else got hurt. Well, you know, Ohtani took a little bit of a hit, but he's still bad. But there have been other players who cars have went significantly down. John Morant stuff significantly down.
Zion Williamson.
Other things we got to think about now is that we're probably going to start hearing more off the court. We were talking about LeBron earlier, how his off the court is almost zero. We're probably going to start hearing more off the court or off the field things with people than we've ever heard before.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I think that you're already being filmed so much and you have cameras in your face 24/7. I think it's such a benefit for your own health and everybody, all your family members around you to just be like, kind of like not silent, but like be more private off the court and maybe not even have like, I don't know. Obviously, you have to speak your mind and say whatever's on your mind, but I would not be tweeting on a Saturday night like controversial stuff or anything like that because I'm just like, what's the good that could come out of it? No matter what you post, 50% of the people are probably going to love it and 50% are probably going to hate it. And it's just, I don't know. There's nothing to gain out of it when you're an athlete with millions of followers and you're interacting with people that have 100 followers maybe or 10 followers and they're like nobody, like I don't know, it just there's nothing to gain out of it in my opinion.
I totally agree. Couldn't say it better myself. Machado says, I miss you, F Dizzle. It's been too long. I miss you too, sir. There's been a lot going on around here, but we are rolling and I have several different guests, so we're moving through, but it's a pleasure having Philly Cars here today. Because
thank you for having me.
And you're someone that I would like to have back regularly because It's good to be able to talk sports with you, the hobby with you, other things with you. I appreciate guests like that. Machado Cars, what's the word, chat?
I appreciate you too. And we got to get you on our podcast. Guests are coming on soon, and it would be an honor to have you on.
Oh, you let me know. Then we'll be there. Machado says Austin Reeves is a legend in LA. We love him here. Brought that energy we used to. Machado, I can appreciate it. I'm just saying I don't know if Austin Reeves is a legend everywhere. I think he's got a lot of.
He's
basketball.
a legend in LA, like TJ McConnell's a legend in Philly.
Yeah. Or maybe
At
even
least
I always ask Laker fans, are you still cheering for Jeremy Lin? Jeremy Lin was a legend. I don't know. We'll see. I wish him all the best, but I think Lithuania exposed, which we've seen even with Golden State, his defense can be very porous at different times of the game. So, I mean, we'll say he's getting back down like nobody's business. Hero 3, thoughts on USA basketball. We just talked about that a little bit. I talked about it as being a marketing hype engine. And we also talked about this team. We both didn't think that they will go throughout this FIBA tournament undefeated. So, I mean, we wish them the best, see what they can do later. It's going to be interesting, though. It'll be interesting as these teams go and these guys mature in their careers, what we see later from them in the NBA. And if they come back and do international play again, what's the development? Jaren Jackson Jr. is still fouling people like he's in a Memphis Grizzlies uniform. And some of the fouls, this guy's defensive player of the year. Do you watch the video on some of the fouls?
Yeah, it's no bueno. I wish his teammate Ja and maybe even like Zion decide to play on this team, because maybe that would help us kind of distract from what's going on with them off the court, and maybe they can get their shit together.
I wonder if you ever see Zion in international play. I just think Zion is like, I don't know if I want to risk the ankle. We don't want to blow out another shoe. No. We'll see. We will see. Machado, I know you can take the joke, man. I know how you get down. We'll see about Austin Reeves. Some people are like, FD, you're hating on this guy. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, you're talking about who this guy is, and he's got to be that guy. I appreciate a person who went undrafted, signed a huge contract. He has accomplished a lot. You can't take that away from him. We're talking about strictly basketball. I'm not talking about anything else. I haven't heard nothing about this young man off the court. He seems to be stand up. Don't know. I never get on that kind of stuff with people. It's just about between those that little rectangle called that basketball court. What is he going to do on that thing? That's the only thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the biggest fan ever of Allen Iverson, and if I cared about what he did off the court, I don't know. It would be harder for me to like him. The stories that you hear and all that, but on the court, he gave you everything he had. So that's all that matters to me.
Yeah. Hero 3 says, hypothetical question: would the Warriors be able to bring home the gold in 2024, or is the world surpassing a team like that?
I could answer that one for you.
Go ahead.
No shot.
No shot. The Warriors, to me, is still not a complete roster. I'm a realist, people.
I like it.
They don't have a complete roster to me. I keep asking the question, like, when are they going to get that roster right? You got a guy like JaVale McGee out there, and he goes to Sacramento. So, I mean, he knows the system. Maybe they know something I don't know. I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe they're thinking about moves later that can be made to bring someone on that's a power forward, like who can move his feet, can learn the system, can pick and roll, can take it to the rim with authority, not really wanting the ball to score. Maybe there are people out there that team knows about, but I don't think their roster is complete.
How'd you feel about the Chris Paul move?
I loved it. I loved anything that was somewhat in the right move to get Jordan Poole out of town.
Dang, really?
Yeah, I was good with that.
Okay. So you're siding with Draymond on the side of the beef?
I don't know what they beefed about.
Yeah, me neither.
So I can't speak on that. I don't know what the beef was about. I had some ideas.
You got some theories?
I got some thoughts on it. I don't know. But I think Poole, I watched almost every game of the season last year. I think I may have missed 5 games. He's a turnover guy. He will score points. He will give up points. You talking about porous defense. There's no defense from Jordan Poole. Really. You can back him down. You can take him to the cup. You can do whatever. He's going to look to the ref for like an offensive foul. That's his defense. Looking to the ref for an offensive foul. So he'll score points for you. He's going to give them up on the other end. And then he's pouting a lot. You can see him on the bench. People are trying to talk to him. He doesn't want to talk. There's no time for that. We're out here. We're playing the other team. We're not playing the other team and also playing ourselves. So if you got a guy that's a vet that you can bring in, who can control the second team, run with him, keep and teach as he's going, probably want to bring that guy in. I don't see Chris Paul doing anything more than that. Just like there may be some games that he starts to give someone else a rest, but that's not why he's there. Just like there were some games that Jordan Poole started to give people a little bit of a breather or to have them come in with the second unit. At one point, Draymond and some other people were running with the second unit, trying to build some continuity there. There may be some things that he does there, but Jordan Poole, I was talking to someone at the Burbank Car Show because we break down. We started talking about sports, and I asked the question, "What is Jordan Poole going to do in Washington?" And they said, "Oh, he's going to average like 25." I said, "Well, how much is he going to give up on the defensive end?" Then I asked, "What is his shooting percentage going to be? Is it going to shoot 41 and average 27? Is that good? It's not good. It's not good at all." So, and we talk now about total points. We never talk about to me, 3 stats I look at. Anyone I'm talking to about basketball, I look at 3-point percentage, field goal percentage from anyone on the court, and what are you shooting free throws at? And then I go to 4th stat. I go to plus minus. It tells me about where's your defense at, or your turnovers or whatever. So those are the 4 things I look at to quickly sum up what are the players doing when they hit the court. And then if you look at some of the greats of the game over the years, you can look at those stats. Those stats got better. But I've never seen a person come back from shooting 41% like Jalen Green. You shoot 41% from the field, that's just pretty much who you are. And a lot of that has to do with shot selection, not your ability to hit a shot. Decision making. So
everybody in the NBA.
Hey man, I was in grad school.
Just
I tell the story all the time. I was in grad school with a guy who was on the bench at Michigan with Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, and Fat Five. Right? He played sparingly. Man, we go to the rec center and we're playing against some engineering students. This guy was Michael Jordan. This guy was hitting threes, dunking on people, running the court, distributing. When you're on that level, no pedestrian is messing with you playing basketball. No. So these guys that's in the league, the guys that's in the NBA, there's no one messing with it. It could be a guy sitting on the bench averaging 2 points a game. Give him the ball, have him come to a park, and he's cleaning everybody out.
Not even a question.
It's not even a question. I mean, I'm playing with this guy. He's doing stuff. I'm just like, man, this is crazy. That's just how it is. It's the same way in football. I mean, any sport, boxing, anything. You ask a real boxer, hey man, get in the ring and spar with me. You're probably gonna see shots coming at you that you didn't even. Where did that come from?
Yeah, you're not gonna see anything. You're just gonna be on the ground.
Yeah, that's just how it is. So when we talk about athletes, we're talking about relative to other athletes that's in their sport at the same time. Not can they play ball in totality? Because the answer is definitely yes. So they would not be there. That's just how it is. I've seen some video of Shaq with the Lakers just hitting threes in practice.
Mm-hmm.
But come to a game, Shaq wasn't doing that because did he need to do that? He didn't need to do that. We got to get you down in that paint, bro, and just destroy people. That's what we need you doing. So it's funny. Hero 3, I would have shipped both players out to get something good in return. Interesting. I see that. Sochan and Wemby going to start new dynasty in San Antonio.
What about Keldon Johnson?
Yeah, there's some other players there but we don't really know. This is pump out breaks. There's ABS on this. We don't really know who these players are yet. Let's just watch and see. I hope Wemby knows how much scrutiny he's about to be under. I think he's a. Just to give you my quick synopsis of what I think. He's a tall player. His footwork needs some actual work, and his jump shot is not flame on. It's not like his jumper is just golden. So, but he's a small forward. So he's not. I don't know if he's backing anybody down. So how is he going?
I just hate how the media sets these guys up for if they're not the next LeBron James, then they're a failure. Where it's like he could easily have, or not easily, but imagine if he was like a Hall of Famer and they were like, but he didn't live up to the hype. It's like, how are you going to put these expectations on such like a young guy? Like, let him come to the league, play out his first year, and then put these expectations on him. I mean, I don't know. It's insane to me that these guys get looked at through microscopes at such a young age and are put with like these crazy sky high expectations and are expected to live up to it. Like, how many guys actually live up to it at the end of the day?
Not many.
I'd say like 1%. Like
probably less than that. To me, you have two players every 20 years. That is, we're going to talk about for the rest of the time we talk about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And think about how many players come through the league in that time span. Since LeBron's been in the league, how many players have come through? LeBron is playing with children of players that he played against. His coach he played against. So there's not too many LeBron James.
I mean, I remember hearing the same thing.
Say that one more time.
I remember hearing the same thing about Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker and Zion and all these guys that were supposed to be the next man up, and it's like it's terrible to put these expectations on these guys.
Well, you can tell from Wiggins things I picked up since he's been in Golden State. He doesn't like the limelight. He's not about talking all the time. He doesn't have a presence on social media, just like the Joker. When you see a person that doesn't have a presence at all on social media, it tells you and everyone else that they're not about that being in the front row thing. Now, Wiggins gets to Golden State. He can kind of do his thing. He has Clay, Draymond, Steph on the front row. He can kind of do his thing. Him and Loon, those kind of personality types, they can kind of do their thing. They can come out and do a press conference, but they're not about all that other stuff. As we would say, rah-rah. They're not about that. So even though Wiggins went so high in the draft, his personality, and this is a question that I have for people. We're saying someone assessed someone's talent and they were drafted number 1 in the draft, number 3 in the draft, number 5 in the draft. So they should do this, right? Because of their draft status. Does that person really want to do that? How many people have you known in life that have great talent and would rather underachieve a little bit?
I'd say there's more people like that than not, and I don't know. I think it takes like a special person to have all that money and be famous and have all of the girls that you want in the world, and still have that drive to want to be great. It's not easy. These guys are getting paid bags of money at such a young age and expected to keep that drive going on for 15, 20 years, when in reality, that's just not going to happen.
And we look at a player on a card and we say they got drafted here, they should do this. We don't know how they were raised. We don't know who their parents were, their legal guardians. We don't know what ethics they have. We don't know what decisions they make. We don't know what they do when they get upset or when they're happy. We don't know any of that as people. And most of the time, we may not ever know any of that. But there are some indicators to me of what a person may do. But a lot of it is just guessing. And even though I spend time looking and researching a lot of stuff, sometimes I may not know any more than someone who just picked up a card and say, I like this Shea. This thing look cool. Oh, he doesn't play with the Clippers anymore? I didn't know he didn't play with the Clippers. Somebody may just love the card. I always think also there are very rare cards in the hands of people who are not thinking about cards all the time. No, cards could be in a shoebox. Cards could be graded in an attic. They could be in storage. Well, G and I, we ride by public storages. We always say, man, I wonder what's up in there. You never know.
But that's the beauty of the hobby, and especially the people that don't look at like the monetary value as much as the reason why other cards are worth so much money. Because if this rare card's not going to surface anytime soon, and he doesn't need the money or he doesn't want to sell the card, then there's only a few others out there, and where else are you going to find them? So you got to pay this price.
Just like the Steph Topps 101 gold has never been found. That card's never been found. Where is that card? That card still sitting in a pack in a box, an unopened case, unopened box, or is that card out and somebody's just not talking about it?
Who knows?
The
guys working at Topps might have pocketed it and still yet to surface.
Hey, so what's your thoughts on Fanatics and Panini?
I try not to be as reactionary because I feel like it's so easy to kind of freak out or overreact right away. So I kind of just sit back in the bleachers and kind of wait for things to unfold until I know the full story or whatever. But I hope they figure it out. I don't really have many opinions on Fanatics taking over, but I feel like Panini did a pretty good job for a long time. So if you can continue that success or turn Fanatics into the new thing, like I hope they replicate what Panini did, because I mean, you can say whatever you want about Panini, but they've put a microscope on this industry to begin, and I feel like elevated it from the last era of sports cards in general.
Well, I know it's going to be difficult to correct the things that Panini gets a lot of, how would I say, bad press or commentary about. Like, just to turn over cards and see that a player, this jersey may not have been worn in an event or may not be connected to a player. I want that changed, but that's very difficult.
I agree.
Very difficult to change. First of all, there's only so much material out there that a player's worn in a game. And we all, as fans of the hobby, we like big swashes and patches from 3-color, 4-color areas of the jersey. There's only so many jersey areas that are like that are large. How many game worn Justin Jefferson jerseys can Fanatics get their hands on?
I think that they're going to have to lessen the products if they want to change that, because there's no way that you can release 100 NFL products a year and expect game-worn jersey cards or anything even similar to that. So, I don't know. Obviously, Panini's not perfect, but they've done a good job. They've created some iconic products, I think, in my opinion. You got National Treasures, you got Flawless, Prism. So I don't know. I think they've done a good job. I think they get a lot of hate. But I mean, I could see Michael Rubin taking over the industry, and making it better, or who knows, maybe even worse, but we're yet to see. And, I think it's an exciting time to be in sports cards. Cause if the Fanatics change does come over, I think it's going to become more mainstream and not as quote unquote nerdy to collect cards like when I was growing up, and I'm sure you were growing up. If you got to a certain age and you were still collecting cards, you were kind of looked at with a side eye, like, what are we doing here? Like, so I don't know. I think it's a good time to be a kid and collecting cards, because now everybody in school is doing it, and it's not like I said, like the dorky thing to do anymore.
I agree. Totally agree. Embrace your nerd is what I tell people.
Yes. I think we're all nerds at heart, and that's fine.
Hero 3 says another question. Does Curry need a gold medal? Curry doesn't need anything. Does Curry need a gold medal to complete his Mount Rushmore punch ticket? Or is he already there? Or does he have no chance of making it? In my opinion, Curry's on Mount Rushmore. The Carvers have already gotten down and are having dinner. I mean, that thing to me is, we could get into the conversation of best point guard of all time, greatest point guard of all time.
Again, I hate these comparisons because they're such different players, Magic and Curry.
Yeah, they're very different.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you were picking a top 5, starting 5, that you about to run with Philly Cardinals, who's your point guard?
Oof. If I'm choosing Magic or Steph in my top 5, it depends.
Yeah, you only got one point guard you're gonna run with.
Yeah, but it depends. If I choose Steph, he's gonna need shots, right? And if I choose a guy like Magic, who's, in my opinion, probably a better passer than Steph, would you agree on that?
Oh, he's a better passer. Oh yeah.
So would I choose a guy that's gonna dish out the rock better to guys like MJ and LeBron and Kobe or whoever else is in my starting 5, or would I rather have a point guard sniper? So I mean, that's open for debate. I think you could go either way, and there's no wrong answer in that one.
Okay, so Magic averaged
You were ready for this one.
No, I haven't even looked up anything. I just started looking stuff up. No.
Magic
averaged 11.2 assists in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. 11.2. And really retired in his prime. So Steph Curry averages 6.5. Steph averages more points per game. Steph is at 24. Magic was at like 19. I think 5 more points a game.
What about rebounds?
Rebounds, Steph is averaging 4.7. Magic is averaging 7.2.
And in your opinion, who's the better defender?
Magic Johnson, slightly.
In this case scenario, that's why I'd rather have Magic in my starting 5. But I mean, to watch, I'm taking Curry any day.
I think that's the way it breaks down. I think people are feeling the same thing you just said. I think because when you see a lot of I want my best 5 to run with. Steph is on that roster. Magic is not. Both phenomenal players. I just think things change over time. And the differences is the David Stern differences in basketball. There's a 3-point line created for a reason.
Yeah.
And Steph walked up to that line and said, you know what? I'm about to change the whole game at this line right here. I'm going to do other stuff. But if you give me a inch of daylight out here, I'm going to destroy you. Hey, I was one of those people when he first came out. I was like, man, that dude's a small guard. I had no knowledge. I know the traditional point guard play. I had no knowledge of what this guy was about to do. That's a small guy, man. I don't know. Oh, shoot, man. Look at that. See that jump?
I mean, he had the shot, but his first 2 years in the league, he was injured a bit, and he was kind of put to the back burner, and then they started going on this wild playoff runs, and you're like, what is going on? This is like
we had that game against San Antonio where he had like 42.
I can't remember off the top.
This was 2 years, I think, before they won a championship. I think 2013. Steph you could sort of see this cat is different. This dude is different. If you didn't know anything else about him before that, he's a different guy. And Philly Cards, I'm gonna tell you, I think this is what I tell people, and some people disagree with me, and I can respect that. There are gonna be more players like Steph. There are gonna be less players coming out of the draft like LeBron and just averaging 20 points a game until infinity, until they decide to walk off the court. I mean, much fewer players doing that. There are gonna be more players coming out with injuries. Their game needs development. And it's going to take 4 or 5 years for us to start seeing, man, who is this guy? Oh man, I'm seeing some changes here. It's like Giannis. Giannis comes out, super athlete. Basketball skills, 0. And each year he has changed what he does, how he does it, how he scores. he's developing himself. And Giannis is in this year. What is this? Year 11?
I think year 11. Yeah.
He's still developing and changing. He is not the same guy who won a championship a few years ago.
Nah, not at all.
And I think we're going to see more players like that going forward. So that's why I don't even get alarmed when I see a guy early in his career. What could he do? What do I see him gravitating to naturally is what I look for. Take a guy like Shea. Shea, I think, is the most developed and ready to get after it young player in the NBA today. Shea has a game. Step back, post up and under, shoots a three, play defense.
If you're starting a franchise tomorrow, who are you taking, Shea or Luka?
Shea.
Over Luka.
Yes. Shea to me is going to end up being the best guard in that draft. Most successful guard, let me say, in that draft. Luka's going to be talked about more. But I'm a firm believer, Philly cards, that Luka Doncic won't win a championship.
Wow, that's a hot take pretty early on in his career.
No, it's not really. It's early in his NBA career. But you know he's been a professional since 14-15.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we got to see what Luka's coming with this year. I want to see an in-shape Luka getting after something.
I want to see how him and Kyrie mold together, and we'll see.
What did they play last year? 25 games? 30 games?
Something like that, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty.
I want to see you. Okay, now you got a whole season. I want to see how many games they can play together with no injuries. And then what do they do separately? What do they do when each person sits down and take a breather? What are they doing? Because last year, Kyrie was running that. Made the team better, set the pace better. Luka's holding the ball. But I believe Luka really holds the ball because of his endurance level.
What, you think he's kind of taking a break?
Yes. Taking a breather. And then if you notice, before that shot clock gets down, then he's going to come with it. But up until then, he's kind of taking a little. Let me take some deep breaths here. Look around, Then I'm about to go. Kyrie's pushing that rock. Think about how Tim Hardaway Jr. played with Kyrie. His 3-point percentage was up. Everything was clicking. Plays with Luka, he's a different player. That's just how it goes. But we'll see.
Well, he's the hobby sweetheart, so I'm not interested in Luka cards. I've never really been. I've kind of just stayed away. But I don't know. People get really defensive when you start talking about Luka Doncic in sports cards, and it's like, what? It's crazy. If you were to talk about their wife in that way, I don't think they would get as offended as they do with Luka, which is insane.
Well, I mean, somebody is going to be celebrated and liked even before they've accomplished something. But I think if you ask me about players, I'm looking at ability on the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is special. Special dude. So I don't know. But the questions are, what can he do in OKC? Does he need to leave? What can he do with Giddey and Chet? Who is Chet? We're about to find out. There are probably over 20 questions I want answered in this season. And who is Chet is one of them. That's another guy people talk about. It could be phenomenal. But did you watch the video of him and KD working out together?
Yes, I did, and that was who, like Chet said, was his role model growing up or whatever. I mean, they have the same build, but do they have the same skill? And I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know though. It's like too young to tell, like you said. Give him a few years, see what he does, and then we can really judge him on a harder scale.
Well, only thing I say is we've watched a lot of basketball for years and years and years. I've only known one 7-footer that can shoot like KD, and that's KD.
Yeah. Would you consider Brandon Ingram 7 foot?
He doesn't shoot like KD though.
Not as good, but he's up there.
He's up there. He would probably be my group B as far as big men that shooting the rock. I just wonder sometimes with Brandon Ingram, when you watch the games, is he all the way there? Sometimes he feels like it seems like he's His mind is on something else. Like,
I don't know. It seems like he could turn it on when he wants to.
Yeah, it seems like he can turn it on, and sometimes he's way off.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't think Brandon Ingram is taking a backseat to CJ McCullough. Like, man, you be taking this game over right now.
Yeah, for real.
Why is CJ taking the shots?
Ugh.
And why is CJ coming to this? I think this goes back to personalities. Why is CJ coming to the post game about saying on Zion, we need you every night. We need people here to be healthy. Why is he saying that?
Honestly, I don't hate that he's saying that.
No, but what is Brandon Ingram talking about?
Yeah, I don't think he's the confrontational, outspoken type at all.
No. It's harder for these guys to keep that drive because they get the bag without earning it too.
Facts.
That's harder. Yeah, that's part of it. You got to think. You got Melo just signed a huge contract. Anthony Edwards signed a huge contract. People are getting paid now of potential. You can't hate it, but what are the ramifications of it?
I mean, it's going to take some adjusting from the league. I think a few teams need to get burned pretty badly for them to want to put out that bag right away. And if they don't pay them, there's always going to be another team. But until like the league kind of like agrees, like, all right, can we chill with paying this 21-year-old guy $200 million because it doesn't benefit us and it definitely doesn't benefit him at the same time.
True, very true. Maybe that second contract has some limits. I don't know, but
yeah.
Even fellas, Pete's, what's going on? Zerny, Magic is my driving point guard, and Curry will be my shooting point guard. But Zerny, at the end of the day, you only got one shot. Like Eminem said, you only got one shot. Who's your point guard? That's what I gotta know, because you know I'm rolling with Curry. Is it basketball season yet? It's coming, peeps. It is coming soon. No disrespect to Magic Johnson. I think people think like, man, you just totally disrespecting that guy. No disrespect, but it's gonna be interesting too. How Curry ends his career. Does he put more rings on his fingers? Does he put more MVPs on his fingers? Does he put finals MVPs on his hand? His resume is still being worked on. We will see. Hey, what would you say to someone that wants to get into the hobby? 2020, about to be 2024. What's some advice you would give them?
I would say start off by starting a personal collection or a player collection and not really think about the money as much right away. And if you do think about like flipping and like you need like instant income or whatever, it's definitely not going to happen right away. I think you need to be able to make mistakes just like any industry, in my opinion, and don't be afraid to make them. Don't make mistakes that are going to cost your pockets like a hurting, but maybe if you bring $200 in the hobby, experiment with it, kind of just see where it goes, see what works for you, see what doesn't, see what players are hot. And like I said, if you're just coming in the hobby, I tell my friends all the time, pick a player that you like and figure out what cards he has, what sets, what parallels are out there of him, and just try and grab a few and just start from there. And then you'll find your next avenue from there. And I don't know, like you can't be afraid to lose money if you're just starting out in this industry. I mean, people that have been in the hobby for 20, 30, 40 years lose money all the time. And it's just a part of the game.
Yeah, most people tell you about, just like going to Vegas, tell you about their big wins or moderate wins, but they don't tell you about maybe the losses they had with some learning lessons. One thing I would tell people is find out what brands to really buy of cards. There is a difference. There may be some brands that you start out with because you're learning, growing, developing. That's why when people say base cards are trash, I always feel like that's what people learn with base cards. If you have a favorite player, get their base cards. Find out what other variations of that base card that may be out there. Are they numbered, not numbered? Are they colored, not colored? What colors are very popular? There may not be a direct reason why, but why are people excited about these variations? And then kind of go from there. like we talked about before with Prism. You got National Treasures, Flawless. Excuse me, with Panini, National Treasures, Flawless, and Prism. Why are people so excited about those cards? Just like back in the day. Then start learning the brands that came before. Why was Topps Chrome Basketball just so popular when LeBron came out? That was which is crazy to say now, a set that was $250, $300 a box. LeBron's rookie year. I bought like 5 of them. Now
Did you hit anything nice?
I got some LeBron base rookies that I've since graded, moved to other stuff because that stuff is liquid. That's another thing I tell people: who's liquid? You talking about going to a show? Who's liquid at a show? Walking in, putting that first foot in the show. LeBron and Luka are liquid at the show. I mean, if you want to move something, you want to move something quickly. You can walk up to a table. You don't have to go to any particular. Let's say you got like at Burbank Sports Cars, you got other people buying, but you got Burbank definitely buying. You can go anywhere with a nice or even somewhat common Luka LeBron card. You get liquid for you pretty quick if you want to move to something else, or if you even want to move to another Luka LeBron card. And in every sport, you kind of got some people like that. Learn those things. Just ask some questions, and then, like Philly Carr says, make some plays. Understand why you're making them. If your reason for making a play is because somebody else said so, you might want to have another reason why you're making that play. Do some research, find out something about the sport. And that's strictly on sports cards. I think it's the same kind of education on if you're getting involved with TCG. Understand what you're buying, why you're buying it, and then go from there. And that thing may evolve over time. We started this channel 2 years ago. I really didn't sell anything at the time. I'd held on to stuff for years. Now I make moves trying to make other moves. Things will evolve. Embrace the change. It's all good. It doesn't have to be just one particular way. That's what's so cool about the hobby. It's not just one way of making decisions or buying something. And I've talked to people that in 2009 were buying Curry. People were laughing at him, just like what you just talked about. Ankle injuries, hurt all the time. The Warriors were thinking about trading this guy. You never know. That's what I always say. This thing is not cookie cutter-ish. And when Steph came out, Blake Griffin was the talk. You ever looked at a Blake Griffin card now? What the value of it is? Unless it's in your PC and you love him from Oklahoma, it's not happening. So, again, draft status. Who was drafted at a certain place doesn't mean anything. The other guy that went to Sacramento was being talked about.
Tyreek Evans, Johnny Flynn.
Tyreek Evans. That's what I'm talking about. All those players are being talked about. Steph Curry, he's a good scorer, but he's small, was what people said about him. Yeah, he took his team far in the NCAA tournament, but this guy is. And that's why basketball has to be played, because I say this often. When LeBron made the statement, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach" in 2010, no one was really talking about Wardell Steph Curry.
No,
but you got to play the game. We were at the Burbank Card Show the other day, and I said to several people, there are cards on tables right now that 5-6 years from now, people weren't even looking for today, that everybody in this room would be looking for. And that's the hobby. That's how it all shakes out. I saw a lot of Herbert. I think any show you go to, even shows you go to out there, you're going to see some Herbert, some Burrow. You're going to see some Hurts. You're going to see some LaMelo Ball, Tua. You're going to see some Anthony Edwards. You don't even see De'Aaron Fox.
Nah, not at all. It's rare.
I think I saw maybe 4 De'Aaron Fox cards just from me viewing them walking around. Now, I'm pretty sure there were more than that at the show, but I'm just saying it's not a plethora of that at tables. Why is that? People probably putting the ceiling on De'Aaron Fox. I mean, Sacramento didn't do much. They signed JaVale McGee. What did they do to make their roster better? Nothing.
I don't know. They're a good team, though.
Yeah, but can you run it back, though?
I think they could.
Sabonis? You think so?
Why not?
We'll see. At least we don't have Jordan Poole throwing like 6 games away and affecting the team. You know what? People are saying Jordan Poole's gonna be a all-star. We'll see.
I could tell you have a huge Jordan Poole collection.
Zero. I think I have one base card that I bought a while back and still have it. I came close a couple of times. I had to check myself. Sometimes, man, I came close to Wander Franco. I had to sit and think, like, dude, is this what you buy? You don't buy this, man.
Yeah, but who would have predicted that one? That one's just a rough one all around. Yeah.
I was strictly on his performance on the field. You can't predict that at all. I was on his batting average. He was batting 256. So it's like, this dude is just from his playability. No, I couldn't predict it at all. I'm not even going to act like I would have known that. No.
Yeah, that's just a tough scene for. Yeah, I don't even know.
And I've been at shows where I'm standing by guys negotiating $15,000, $20,000, $10,000 Franco cards. And at that time, I mean, we all thought that guy was. This was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Thought that guy was moving. His cards were taking off.
Yeah, I think baseball prospecting is the absolute worst to me.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It is rough.
You have to sell before the debut, or else they're literally bound to go down in value. Like, there's not a lot of guys that stay up in value.
Jason Dominguez, his home run, his first at bat.
Check his cards about a month from now, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm. what you think about Ellie De La Cruz?
I mean, check his cards from that hot first month or whatever, and I'm sure they're down a ton.
Oh, is he batting 250 now?
I don't even want to know, but all I heard about that month or two that the Reds were on a streak where I've never heard Cincinnati Reds that much in my life since probably my dad was watching like the Big Red Machine with like Johnny Bench and Tony Perez and all those guys. That was probably the most they've ever been talked about since then.
Let me look up his stats. Oh, he keeps dipping. Batting 243. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, 77 hits. Let me see how many games he's played in. Because I said to some people at the show, let's just watch this guy. Man, watch him. What are you talking about? Okay. He's played in 77 games. His last 5 games, no home runs. He's had 5 hits.
Oof.
So that means he's batting really 225, 240 in the last 5 games.
Again, guys like that, if I can buy a Bryce Harper rookie auto for a fourth of the value or an Ellie De La Cruz, I'm taking the Harper any day.
This is where the wins are, people, if you listen. I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, take a frying pan out, put a little oil in it. And if you are health conscious, put some avocado oil in it. And let that thing heat up. And then throw some water in it. You get that sizzle, that crack. That's the player that's in the frying pan. That's the splash stuff. That's the stuff that comes out and it's like, man, look what this guy's doing. But let's just wait. Let's wait. Let's wait and see. Because I'm telling you, I played sports. Watch film on a guy or a young lady. Find out if they can't dribble to the left. They got to rebound the ball a certain place. They got to shoot. They got certain spots on the floor they like to shoot from. Make sure they don't get to those spots. Play some defense. Make it tough for them. They got to work for it, right? If you're a boxer, do they throw the overhand right? Are they about the uppercut? Well, are they going to the body? What are they doing? What is your defense set up for that? Watch film on them. When that film comes out, that's what people talking about Brock Purdy right now. Let's see if he does what he did when we had no film on him.
For real.
I see what's up. Even you want to jump on Trey Lance? What do you think about that?
I was a big believer coming out of college. I'm not even going to lie. And I think I was completely wrong on that. The injury doesn't help. That's not an easy injury to come back from. But to be a quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense and never really look great, that's pretty tough in my opinion. And he's going to get a chance in Dallas because I think Dak has been suspect for a few years now. There's nobody that's willing to say that Dak is a great quarterback, and nobody's willing to say that Dak's like just a terrible quarterback. We know he's kind of just like I would say average, maybe above average at this point, but nobody's really excited about him. So if he goes out and throws a bunch of interceptions and the Cowboys aren't off to a hot start, I think people are going to be trying to jump on the Trey Lance train, and maybe not Jerry Jones telling them to start Trey Lance, but card collectors are going to speculate, and Trey Lance cards might see a bit of an increase in value just based off speculation. And I mean, we saw the same thing last year with Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, didn't play a single game, and you saw his cards go up in value. And now he's finally starting this year and hasn't played a game since, but he's probably the highest he's ever been since he's come into the league, and it's all speculation. So I think that's all you need in this hobby is some speculation, and then prices will follow.
I'm gonna give you a strong take, but I don't think Trey Lance ever plays in Dallas.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I believe he's there to put some buzz in Dak's ear and have the media talk about somebody else in that quarterback room. I think that's what he's there for. Because what's the other quarterback that's there?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush is number 2, right?
I don't know. Cooper Rush, I think, is probably better at this point, which is crazy to me.
So if Dak is playing horribly or gets hurt, I think we're going to see Cooper Rush. I think the thing that I noticed about this is what I think about when I think about quarterbacks, and even just from playing. If you take the snap and you take a 3-step drop, can you snap that ball to the sideline? Can you throw that ball accurately 30 or 35 yards on a rope? If you can't do that, to me, you're not an NFL quarterback.
Not in today's NFL.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
And Trey Lance cannot do that. So he got drafted high, and every highlight I saw him in college, he was running the football. Every real highlight, that guy was running the football. That's not going to work out here. So if you can't snap that ball where you need to, and in that offense, the way these guys are running these routes, Debo and them, you better be snapping that ball.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't do that. So there's no knock on him. He got drafted high by a team who's running a certain kind of offense. Somebody else has failed the whole situation. Has nothing to do with Trey Lance. I wish the kid number success. I'm actually happy that he got his contract, and at least he still has that. But I think he's in Dallas to create some kind of buzz. It's not about does he play or not. I don't think he ever will play because that offense as well, you got to be able to snap the ball. This is not about – that's like think about Aaron Rodgers and how he throws the ball.
He flicks it.
On a dime. Flicks it, but it's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
On a dime. That's not – and this is what these offenses need now. If you're gonna run Lamar Jackson, then your offense has to be set up for that. The 49ers are not set up for a running quarterback.
Well, there's one thing that I can say, and if it's going to create buzz with the Dallas Cowboys, I'm cool with it because they're my least favorite professional sports team, and I hate the Cowboys, so screw them.
Well, Zerny came back, so we talked about Magic and Curry. Zerny came back and said, "Yeah, I'm probably rolling with Curry." When you talking about that top, you gotta give me a starting 5 with just 1 point. Probably pick Curry. But what people got to realize, though, this is not, again, not disrespecting Magic. This is not tarnishing his career. Magic Johnson is one of the greatest players to ever play basketball. And when you listen to Curry's answer after Gilbert asked him the question, he stated that, like, you know, I'm still working on my resume. His resume is top tier. No disrespect there. Richard says Jordan Walker and Spencer Torkelson are studs. I don't know who Jordan Walker is.
Baseball pitcher.
Oh, really? I gotta watch him play. Watch him pitch.
Yeah, it's hard for me to really get into baseball if it's not the Phillies. And I played baseball more than any sport in my life, but just I don't have the attention span for it anymore. It's pretty bad.
I don't disagree. Elias Electric Watch. He does it. Big John. I just need him to put the bat on the ball. And right now, his statistics are not electric. Is he an athlete? Yes. Does he hit big home runs? Yes. but it's not as consistent as we would need. Brett S. Trey Lance could be used in specific red zone. You know, this stuff doesn't work. We say this stuff. We're trying to talk our way into something. Short yardage situations. So you know when he comes in short yardage that they're not throwing the ball, right? That's what our defense would know. They may have plans to use him creatively. You gotta get real creative. It's like shooting. It's like one time I helped a friend, Philly Cards, shoot a horror movie, and there was like a spirit and a storage unit, and I played the spirit, so I was like snatching people, and, you know, he yelled cut, snatching people, and there was a couple of scenes where we got a young lady that was supposed to act like someone was chasing her, like a beast was chasing her, and she was just like jogging around, like we're in this warehouse workshop area. She's like just jogging around, and then he yells cut, and I say, "Hey man, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you on the side?" And I asked him, "What are you gonna do with that footage?" He said, "Well, I'm gonna have to edit it so it looks like someone's chasing her, because she's definitely not terrified or running for her life right now." And I said, "Well, when you edit it, you know what people gonna see?" He was like, "What?" An edited video of someone not scared or running for their life. But you're not fooling anybody, right? You're not fooling anybody. So when they bring out Trey Lance with this creative red zone stuff, nobody's gonna be fooled by that.
I don't think so either. But I can say the Eagles do the quarterback sneak the best, and you know it's coming every single time with Jalen Hurts, and they still get the first down every single time. So if you put a big body like Trey Lance behind them, it's not going to fool anybody, but they still might get that extra push.
But you also know that Jalen Hurts can throw that pill, though, right?
Yeah.
So even if you are guessing run, you never know what might happen.
No, it's true.
We may see Trey Lance. You never know. I'm not going to count on it, but you never know. I just feel like sometimes these organizations set these guys up for failure because they're making a decision on the guy and then everybody else follows that decision. But just know some front offices could be completely wrong about a player. There are many you can name in basketball. There are more you can name in football as well. I remember the Bears brought in Curtis Enos from Penn State, played running back. I mean, there's so many Bears picks that I can name that front office just failed these young men. Just failed them. Big John. Jordan Walker is a Cardinal outfielder. Right.
Oh, I was completely wrong.
That's probably why I didn't know him, because when you say St. Louis Cardinals, I just fade out a lot of times. But
I got that wrong. Sorry, guys.
Richard Spencer, Big John stays on his baseball. He knows what's up. Richard Spencer is quietly racky. All right. Raking. Okay. It's interesting, some of the stuff that happens. Is anybody in the chat that thinks who would the chat say is the next face of the NBA? Anybody out there? Brett asks, for transparency, I have 0 Lance cards. Anyone investing in him is crazy. Just 420 attempts in 5 years. Like I said, if someone goes in for a job interview and they do whatever job, because I don't want to disrespect anyone's job. They do whatever job, whatever it may be. And then someone says, hey, do you want to do brain surgery? And they say yes, and then they're in someone's head. They didn't pick to do brain surgery. Whoever asked them to do brain surgery and pay them for it is the person we should look at and be like, why did you do that? So some of these players can just get, I actually think that the Wentz hype led to Trey Lance.
That's a big part of it. That's a big.
The Wentz hype led to him.
I mean, I experienced it firsthand, and I don't remember North Dakota State being mentioned in any conversations until Carson Wentz was a real draft prospect.
That's right. So some scout went back and said, you know, I think I found somebody else. But that scout's name and the people they made a recommendation to and the people that agreed upon that, they'll never get talked about. It's going to be Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't help his cause either by losing a big game, and 35 minutes later, he's in a strip club. People are never going to forget that, man. People will never forget that. They won't bring it up. They'll bring up other stuff. But you can't leave the locker room, hit a post-game press conference, and 15 minutes or so after the post-game press conference, you're in the strip club. People are not going to forget that.
Yeah, that's wild.
Nobody said Kittles was standing right next to him, injured. Nobody's talking about that. So how it goes down. Next face for the NFL is Joe Burrow. For the NBA, it's going to be Victor. Richard, I don't know. I think you're reaching there.
I think as soon as LeBron leaves, and I think it's already his league now, I think it's Giannis. You could argue Jokic, but I think Giannis is the face.
You think Joker wins another championship in his lifetime, in his career? I don't think so.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'll go with you on this one.
I say Joker only wins as long as Gordon is on that team. Yeah, I don't see Gordon being on that team. Gordon's got to get paid, so right.
Yeah,
the role on that team. Brown is not going to be the only person getting paid, and Brown was intricate. I mean, Caldwell Pope was intricate. People talk about Jamal Murray. Don't have Caldwell Pope out there. So, I don't see Joker winning another championship. I don't see them repeating this year. But maybe I'll give it some far-fetched takes. Maybe that's when most people's ears don't sit well, but I don't see it. Zerny, this is the real answer. It was a trick question, people. Not really. I want to hear your opinion, but Zerny's given to me the answer that is very apparent. We don't know. So we're picking people. We want somebody to fill that spot so we feel better about certain things when it comes to the NBA. And we don't know who's the next face for the NFL. Brady's gone. Legends are gone. Rodgers now with the Jets. Anybody think the Jets about to win the Super Bowl? I don't think people are picking that right now. They could play their way into it, but people aren't picking that. So you got GOATs who are legends that are either retired or a foot away from retirement. And in the NBA, when you get past Steph, KD, Kawhi, LeBron, it's a bunch of people with clean resumes. Who's going to stack theirs? And I think that's where we're at. We do not know. And then there are cards of these players that we don't know who maybe haven't even been to a draft yet. Maybe in high school, maybe in 8th grade right now. Might be listening to this in 6th grade. That's about to be running something soon. Can we ascertain who those people are? Do we know who they are? When we see them, are we going to start seeing signs? If that player starts sprouting 4 or 5 years in, after being drafted at 18, 19, one and done, can we figure out who they are? Those are the questions, people, because I believe there are more $500,000 and $1 million cars in the future. Who's going to have their hands on them? And what was you buying? Those are the questions. Right? Fill the cards. Let's just put them on the table. We got Richard saying, how come Steph Curry is not the face of the NBA? That's the question. But he has been. He just hasn't been named that. The NBA has promoted Steph each year. He's put butts in seats, made people watch. Some of the highest viewed telecast games have been Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. So, I don't know. For the cards, you got anything for the people before we get out of here?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And thank you for anybody that stayed tuned for this long. I've never done a podcast at almost 2 hours, so I'm impressed.
Oh, we roll, man. We roll for an hour and a half, 2 hours almost every week.
Oh, that's fire.
appreciate you being here too. Since we've been in Chicago, I wanted to have you on. Like I said before, on your podcast, if you have any time, you let me know. I'll come through for that.
You're coming on.
You want me to come on? I'll be there. We'll jump into something.
Is who you are on the screen is exactly who you are in person. So there's not a lot of people that replicate that. So I appreciate that you're a real person.
Thank you, brother.
Yes,
My
sir.
goal of having this channel was to show people what we really do and how we really get down. Both G and I and Junior. If you meet any one of us, we're the same way all the time. This is how we have fun and enjoy ourselves. You can put G in front of something to edit. He is on cloud nine. You put me in front of a microphone or even in person. We could grab a chair at the show, sit down and start talking. We could run it down real quick on a bunch of stuff. And I also respect other people's opinions too. My opinion is not the only opinion that matters. And I want that to be very apparent on this show as well. We embrace everybody's thoughts and creativity on things, and we're just here to express our own, well, with a little LA sprinkled with some Southside Chicago. That's how we get down. But Philly Cars, before we get out of here, I gotta ask you, man, who are you rolling with?
You already know I'm rolling with FD.
My man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great night, a great rest of your week. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend as well.
I appreciate you too. And like I said, thank you again for having me on. Love to do it again, and hopefully on my podcast next time.
All right, brother. Philly Cars, people.
All right, I'll talk to you. Have a good night, all right?
Bye-bye.